Welcome to the 9th video in this series where we're making Frogger with Godot. So in this one, we're going to display the number of lives we have remaining on the screen, and then we'll display a game over when we run out of lives, and most of that, as ever, will be driven by our game controller. Before we code it though, let's get the visuals done in our GameUi. So I'm going to go to the GameUi here, and what we're going to do is have some frogs basically displayed on the bottom left-hand side here, each of them representing a remaining life. So when I say remaining life, if we've got, say, 2 lives in the game at the start, we'll see 1 down here because we'll already be using 1 whilst we're playing the game. So what I'll do then is select the select tool first of all, not the move tool. Then I'm going to select the margin container here and then add a new child node, and that's going to be an HBox container, and I'm going to call this HB lives. And then we want, as a child of this, a text direct, and we in fact want 10 of these in the end. We'll make 1 for now and then duplicate, and I'll call this L1. Doesn't matter really about the name, we're not going to use these names, we're simply going to show or hide these depending on how many lives we have remaining. We can see from the height of this that the horizontal box container is using up the full rect here. Don't really want that. So at the top here with the HB lives selected, I'm going to click the sizing and go to vertical end and horizontal begin, so it's over here, that's better. Then go to L1, then we can quick load and we'll load out frog1. Then in the expand mode, let's ignore the size and we'll set it by hand. We can do that going into the layout, custom minimum size here, and we'll set that to 32 by 32 pixels. I found that to be about right. It's all the way down here. Then I'm going to smash a duplicate, which is Control and D for me on Linux or Windows, or if you're on Mac, Command and D for Delta, and I'll just smash that a few times so that we've got 10 of these. And that does mean that I've hard-coded it to have up to 10 lives. Now, I think I'm going to start the game with 6 or 5 lives. Nevertheless, if you try and go over 10 lives, then you're not going to be showing them all on the screen. We do have a hard-coded limit here. So I'll do Control S to save, then minimize that. What I'd also like to do is add our game over screen in here, and then we can concentrate fully on everything from inside the code. So the game over is actually just going to cover everything completely. So I'll minimize all of this behind the margin container, select the GameUi here, then we're going to add a new node. That's going to be a plain old control, and I'll call this a game over view. And then we can see it's top left here. We're going to anchor that to the full rect, so the full viewport, do Control S to save. Then as a child of this, I'm going to add a color rect, which is going to cover everything. I'm also going to make that full rect as well. Then clicking the color on the right hand side, 5251 FF6F if you want to use the same as me. I'm going to hit enter, that's sort of a transparent blue. Then selecting the game overview, new node, and this time we want a label. I was sure we had one, yes we do. And I'm going to type a game over. And then this can be horizontal alignment center, vertical center. Then label settings, we can make some new label settings here. So go to label settings, click these. The font size here can be 96, and we can also load up the bold font as well. I'm going to position this, so with the label selected, go to the anchoring here and put that into the middle. Then maybe grab hold of some outline here and give it some kind of different color. Anyway, something like this. We don't have any pixels outlined there, so I'm going to up the pixels outlined like that. And then finally, maybe give this a little bit of a color as well. Something like this for some contrast. I say contrast, but you can't really see that very well at all, can you? Never mind, let's try and go for something like this. And then we need definitely a darker outline, don't we? So I'm going to go to the outline here and make this then much, much darker. And then, yeah, that's better. That contrast should be easy to see. All right, then, so I'll do Control S to save. So that then is our game over. And what we'll do by default is have that hidden, and then we'll show this when the game is actually over. When we do this, we'll be pausing the tree as well. We will, however, want this still be able to work because we want to be able to receive inputs and things to navigate back to what will be a main scene. And I'm worried about forgetting this later on. So what I'm going to do is select the root node here and go to process and set the mode here to always so that it always works even if the tree is paused. Otherwise, I'll be sitting here hammering the keys and wondering why it's not returning to the main screen later on. What we can do for now, though, is hide the game overview, and we'll be seeing that one when the game is actually over. So I'll do Control S to save. And talking of which, actually, with the root node selected, let's also add an audio stream player. Do we have one in here? No, we don't. So I'll type audio here. Audio stream player, call that sound. And we're going to play this when the game is over. So I'm going to open up here, and we want the retro game over, the 213 here. Control S to save. So we'll also play this when the game is over. And I think in terms of visuals, that's everything we need to do. So we've got our lives here, we've got our game over when the game is over. We have the root node always processing, so when the tree is paused, we can still react to input presses and timers still run and things like that. And I think that's good to go. We can now drop into the code. So I'm going to click the script here to open up the script view and go into the signal hub. So in our signal hub, we need a couple of new signals. We need one for the game over, so we'll do signal game underscore over. And then we need another one to update the lives. I'll take the score updated and call this one update lives. And that's going to take then an integer, not score though, it's going to be the lives. Then we can emit these as well. So as ever, I'll copy and paste that one here. So we're going to emit the update lives. Then we can do the same thing also for the game over. So we'll emit game over. In this one though, we don't need the lives. Okay, so that's the signal hub updated. Now let's turn our attention to our game controller, which is going to keep track of our lives. So I'll go into distraction-free view and go to all the way to the top here. And as well as score and level, we'll also have lives. And then we'll also export a start lives as well. And this is where you need to be careful if you're playing around with this outside what I'm doing here or extending it. Remember, I did fix in the interface up to 10 lives remaining after the current one. So that's 11 lives. Effectively, I'm actually going to let it start off with 6 lives. Then what we'll do inside the ready, before we do anything else, is what we'll do down here is we'll set our lives to be equal to our start lives. Otherwise, we're going to have a little bit of a problem. And now what I'd like to do is update the GameUi immediately when we're ready to go. If I just open the GameUi's code, you'll note that we're connecting up to the frog time started, for example, here. And that's where we're setting the progress var value. What we're also going to do here is connect ourselves up to the lives updated, and we'll update the lives in the UI as well. So what we'll do is we'll emit these signals from the ready inside the game controller. Now, if we do this directly, just writing emit inside here, we will have a slight issue. And that issue is the order that the readies invoked depends on the order that these are actually sitting inside the tree. So if I go to the 2D view, out of distraction-free mode, the readies are invoked going from bottom to top in the tree, but always starting with the children first, such that when something has its ready invoked, you can guarantee all of the children are ready to go. What that does mean, though, is it could be that the ready of the GameUi, for instance, has not been invoked by the time the game controller's ready is invoked. Now, in this case here, it should be because we're in the right order in the tree. Nevertheless, if you're moving things around and playing with your scenes, you do have to be a little bit careful of the order these functions are invoked. Therefore, I want to avoid actually directly emitting the signal from inside the ready here, because it might be that the GameUi isn't ready yet to pick it up, and therefore it wouldn't have the information when the game starts. Alternatively, what we could do is connect up to these signals actually in the enter tree, which comes before all of the readies. But I don't want to do that in this case, because any signals that are updating UI nodes, I tend to not want to risk them being accidentally invoked before the ready has been invoked. Otherwise, the program can crash. In other words, what I'm taking a very long-winded way of saying to you is we need to put a little bit of a delay in here and then have these signals invoked. So in the game controller, what we're going to do is we're basically going to wait for a single process frame and then emit the signals, and we should be okay. The way we do that is dead simple. We'll put a wait here, and then we can do get tree and dot and process frame, which is a signal which is emitted each time we have a process frame. Now, any of the code that comes after this inside the ready function will be invoked in the first process frame when definitely all of the readies have been called on all of the other nodes. So what we can do then is restart our frog time, but we can also, on our signal hub, emit the update live signal, sending in the total number of lives that we have remaining. So I'll do Control and S to save. And before we jump into the GameUi and start showing all of this, let's actually complete everything that we need to do in the game controller. It's all inside the on frog died, if I remember correctly. Yes, this is looking a little bit small. So now when a frog dies, what we want to do is we want to decrement the lives by -1. Now we only want to do certain stuff depending on if we have any remaining lives. So we're going to say that if the remaining lives is greater than 0, then what we want to do is reset the frog and restart the frog time, because we can carry on playing the game. Otherwise, we're going to emit that the game is over. And when the UI receives that signal, it is then going to pause the tree. So I'll do Control and S to save, and that should be, I think, all we need inside the game controller. So let's go into the script for the GameUi. So inside the GameUi then, I'm going to go into distraction-free mode, so things are a little bit easier to see. So we need to connect ourselves up to a couple of these signals, don't we? So here we want the game over signal, and we'll connect to on game over, which I'm aware we don't have yet, and we'll make another one of these, and it's the update lives that we want to do here. So we've got the update lives, and we'll connect ourselves also to on update lives. I'll come out of distraction-free mode. We are going to need access to our GameUi scene. First of all, we're going to need access to our game overview, which will be displayed when the game is over. And we're also going to need access to our HB lives as well. So I'll control drag that in here. So we'll want the children of this to then know which one we want to display. So I'll go into a distraction-free view again, and let's set up these functions here. So we'll do the on game over. So we're going to have func on game over. And here what we're going to do is pause the game tree completely. So get tree dot and paused is equal to true. That will stop anything else running inside the game in its tracks, but we won't stop because luckily I remembered to set the process to always on the GameUi. And then we can take our game overview and we can do dot and show. So that should be the game over up and running. I'm going to trust that's okay for now. I'd like to deal with the update lives. That's a little bit more tricky. So first of all, let's write ourselves the function for this. I'm going to copy this definition here because it's more or less the same. So we're going to have on update lives, and here we've got the lives remaining. So what we want to do here is we want to show only those text directs that are children of our, where are we, HB lives, if it's one of the lives that we actually have. To do this, what we'll do is we'll set up an array, actually, of all of our text directs to make the code in the function a little bit smaller. So I'm going to make a new var HB lives array, and that's going to be of type array and text direct. then we can fill this up inside the ready. So at the top of the ready here then, we can say for, and we'll say item in, and then we can get hold of our HBox container. Then we want to do get children. And we can ask if the item that we have is a text direct, then we'll append that to our array. And now that we've done that, we can use this array to determine what we want to display. And this is done with a simple loop. So we'll do for I in, and then we want range. And this is hblives_array.size. So if we have 10 items, I will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Then we need to set the visibility. And the visibility for a given text direct inside our array is going to be equal to the result of the I, so the index of that, being less than the number of lives remaining minus 1. The reason I'm doing the minus 1 there is because we only want to show the ones we've got that are not including the current frog that's running around. In other words, at any one time, the number of frogs we see on the screen are the number of frogs that we actually have available to us. Now, this kind of logic here can be a little bit confusing, I know. So just to show you what's going on here, let's imagine that we have 4 lives remaining. We will then iterate through every one of the lives inside our array, which with 10 of them will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I is going to be 0 to 9 incrementally, remembering lives is 4. So we start at index 0, I is 0. The visibility of that will be true if I, 0, is less than lives 4 minus 1. In other words, I is less than 3. Well, that will be true, so that one will be shown. So the first life will be shown. Then we go to the next index, which I is 1. Remember, we've got lives is 4, so we do the same thing. That is visible if 1 is less than lives minus 1, which is 3, and it is, so that one will show, and so on. So where we will stop showing lives is when I becomes 3. That will mean that this expression evaluates to false, because 3 is not less than 4 minus 1, and thus we will only show the text directs for I of 0, 1, and 2. In other words, we'll show 3 text directs when we have 4 lives remaining, which is correct, because we've also got the 4th with the frog that's running around on the screen. All right then, so I'll delete that line from there because we don't need it. Control S to save. That should be, I think, more or less everything connected up. And of course it isn't, is it? And you will have noticed this because I've actually cheated and checked that it is so I don't waste your time. And I did forget something, didn't I, in the game controller? As ever, I haven't emitted the signal when the frog dies and the lives have been changed, which is a bit silly. So what I'm going to do then is here emit the signal directly as the lives are being changed. So we get hold of the signal hub dot, and then we can update our lives with the number of lives that we have left, which is our lives here. My apologies for that. So I'm going to run the application, and I have to say I do know that this works because I just did that edit because I didn't want to waste your time watching me find out that it wasn't working. But anyway, you can see here that I've got 6 lives. So I've got 5 on the bottom there and the one that I'm running around with. So that's 6 lives. And if I bump into here and die, then another one gets taken from the bottom. We've got 4 left on the bottom there and the one running around here. And eventually what should happen, if I speed this up, is we should end up with a game over. And we do. Excellent. Cool. There is one thing here, actually. We're not playing the game over sound, are we? So I'll close this down and come out of a distraction-free mode. Let's close down the output as well and go into the GameUi. Are we not playing the sound? No, we're not. So let's go up here. Do we have a reference to it? No, we don't. So I'll drag into this as well. Grab hold of the sound here. The game over. We can also then play this as well. So sound.play. I do Control S to save. I'm going to run the application again and speed things up. You don't have to watch this, but I'll come back when I'm nearly at 0 lives. Okay, so I'm on the final life, about to crash. Hopefully now we hear the sounds. Let's have a look. Yeah, we do. Excellent. We got the game over sounds. Cool. All right then. So I'll press F8 to close that down. Close down the output. Sorry about going backwards and forwards a little bit there. Keep forgetting to call these functions, don't I? Never mind. But despite those little errors from me, we've actually made really good progress. So if you're still with me, then well done to you, because we've kind of completed now the total game loop. We're able to play the game in terms of its mechanics. Obviously, we don't have the lanes and things like that, but we are able to monitor our lives. We've got the time controlling us, and we're able to get to the home bases, complete a level, go to the next level, and so on. So as far as the game main sort of loop is concerned, that is done, right from starting the game through to the game over. And I think, therefore, that is probably a sensible place to stop this particular video. And what we're going to do in the next one is turn our attention, finally, you might think, to the lanes and the things that we have to avoid and ride on to be able to get to the home bases. So thanks very, very much for watching this video. Apologies again about the couple of errors I made in that one. It's really easy to do. Hopefully it was okay for you, though, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.